Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 19 of season 3 of the F1 2019 HAAS Road to Glory. It's the penultimate race here in Brazil, and what a series it has been so far. You know, we're still making progress, we're still hoping that we can try and finish off the season on a high. You know, just consistency at the moment, trying to build the groundwork ready for season 4, and heading though to this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. One of, you know, definitely a track that I do quite enjoy in this game, and hopefully a track that should suit our car a little bit better, with obviously quite a high speed orientated circuit as well here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. I can just about remember it at the end of the day. Interlagos, as it's more commonly known, here in Sao Paulo. And yeah, hopefully a track that we see on the calendar for many, many years to come. Obviously, the real-life 2019 Grand Prix was an absolute classic. Obviously, famously saw Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly both pick up their first podiums in Formula 1 after a dominant display by Max Verstappen. And speaking of dominant displays by Max Verstappen, he could very, very easily become world champion here today. All he needs to do is finish inside the top 8, and he will be world champion over Sebastian Vettel here. And, well, he's been on an absolute tear since about the Austrian Grand Prix this series. And once again, he is on pole here for the Brazilian Grand Prix there. His teammate Pierre Gasly, probably going to be a rear gunner in this one, joins him on the front row. Both Ferraris actually on the second row there. His main title rival, Vettel, all the way down in 6th with his teammate there. Renault's make up the 4th row, Williams make up the 5th row, McLaren make up the 6th row. Then we've finally got Daniel Ricciardo as alongside Romain Grosjean there. And then you can see just down towards the rear of the field, it does get a little bit messy. We opted for a full engine swap ready for this, and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix should hopefully take us through to the end of the series now, as a few of the parts were starting to get quite worn, and we may as well just try and fight for points if it's going to be possible at any point between now and the end of the series. Yeah, so starting from the back of the grid, it's certainly going to be an interesting Grand Prix ahead of us, so we need a good start here in Brazil. The 5 lights are coming on now then for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is going to be 5 lights. It's lights out, and away we go here for the penultimate time of season 3, and probably not for the penultimate time in this series. We don't get off to a particularly good getaway down in towards turn 1 here. Just going to have to slot in behind everyone else as we head through the first couple of corners there. You can see Raikkonen just in front of us there. He's actually going to get caught under his rear diffuser, lighted up over the curbs at a turn 2 there, and that was incredibly lucky that we didn't end up in the wall there, and that has just been us half spun around there. And yeah, already by the end of sector 1 we're going to find ourselves 4.5 seconds off the rear of the field there, so that was certainly not the start we had in mind for this race. In recent weeks our start form has actually been quite good in the HAAS Road to Glory, but today clearly wasn't going to be one of those days. As we head down into sector 2 though, we should be able to close up quite quickly. Obviously everyone else is still probably going to be concertinaing up over these first couple of laps here, so we'll wait and see as to how quickly we can close back down this gap towards Alexander Albon and Kimi Raikkonen there, who formed that wall on the exit of the Senna S there. As on to lap 3 we go. Yeah, already had it closed back down to the rear of the Toro Rosso. I mean, we've normally got a quicker car anyway, and with a much fresher engine in the back, there shouldn't be much he can do, especially with DRS there. And yeah, we're basically past him before we even get into the DRS zone there, so nothing really Albon is able to do in terms of defending there. So we're now making progress. We're up into P19 of the Grand Prix. Next up then is the Sauber Alfa Romeo of Kimi Raikkonen as we head out through turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3. Once again, they're just behind his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi. And yeah, you can see already Giovinazzi starting to go a bit defensive from his teammate here. So these guys hopefully going to trip each other over just a little bit, and then hopefully we can try and capitalise on this one as we head up the hill in towards turn 5 here. Through this beautiful S section we go. You can see just trying to keep the nose in, keep it nice and tidy at the moment. It's a brilliant, brilliant corner in basically any car I've ever driven around this circuit on both the Formula 1 game and iRacing here. Up the inside though of Kimi Raikkonen we go in towards the next corner. They're actually locking up the front inside wheel, but we make the move work, and we're now up another place here in this Brazilian Grand Prix. We need to try and get past all of these guys as quickly as possible here if we want to try and fight for points at the end of the day. It normally requires a little bit of bad luck for the guys at the road anyway, but we'll see what we can do there. Giovinazzi, though, nothing in terms of top-end speed in comparison to ourselves. We fly past him like he's not even moving as we try to go for a bit of a heroic lunge on Danny Kvyat in through T1 there. Can't quite make it work this time round, and we do have to slot in now to P17, so, well, 2-3 places made up over that last lap. Now we should be able to get past Danny Kvyat as well here in the other Toro Rosso car. And yeah, the Toro Rossos and the Alfa Romeos, really, you know, we shouldn't be fighting with too much in this series there. Around the outside of Kvyat we go. And we're now up into P16 as we head onto lap 6 here. Next up on the old hit list up the road is Devin Butler in the Mercedes. And these, you know, should be the guys that we're fighting with still in this series. You know, quite a good little battle starting to form between Mercedes, McLaren and HAAS towards the latter stages of this championship. In terms of on-track performance, points-wise, we've got a little bit of an margin over the two of them. They're basically requiring a miracle if they want to close up to us at the end of the day here. But yeah, onto the end, though, of lap 10, it would actually be my teammate Romain Grosjean that would be starting to fall away from that group of 4 cars there. So Grosjean a little bit in no man's land this weekend, it appears, and without any engine replacements, anything like that, he's not going to put up much of a fight from ourselves as well there as we now head up into P15 of the Grand Prix there. So making good progress over the opening 10 laps here, but now, you know, Lance Stroll, the next car on the road, it's certainly going to be a little bit more difficult to try and close down this gap there. As you can see now, onto the end of lap 16 there, getting a little bit loose, almost putting it into the outside wall. Romain Grosjean style that out of the final corner there at Zhengsao. We are going to dive it in for our one and hopefully only pit stop of the Grand Prix here, making sure we get it slowed down nice and tidily into the pit lane there. And Ricciardo now onto a set of the medium compounded tyres. The game didn't actually think it was possible before heading into this race, but we are going to go soft mediums in this one. And don't ask me why Romain Grosjean has decided to follow us into the pit lane. I'd already made the strategy call long beforehand that we would be diving in on the end of lap 16, so I've got no idea why the team thought that Grosjean should follow us in there. But yeah, we do come back out, though, in P17. You know, we should be able to make up those couple of places again very, very quickly here as the AI opt to make their stop over these next couple of laps here. And yeah, quite surprised actually just how well the soft tyres hung in there. I was only planning on trying to take them sort of 14, 15 laps, but I mean, we got them 16, and there was probably a couple more on them if we really needed to at the end of the day there. 1 lap later, though, just to confirm, yes, we do get back past Alex Albon, I should say, and Antonio Giovinazzi there, the 2 rookies still technically in this series, despite both being really in their 3rd series in Formula 1 there. And yeah, the gap to Stroll actually opening up just a bit on that lap as well there. What is the gap going to be to the McLaren man there? It's down to 2.9 seconds here. We got half a race to go. Now, normally, a 3-second window wouldn't seem like that big a feat, but I was pushing like absolute crazy throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix to try and close down this gap to the McLarens and the Mercedes. Now, obviously, we had the fresh engine. We could afford to push as much as possible. You know, it's only got to do 2 Grand Prix towards the end of this championship. But yeah, I don't think I've pushed this much in a race in the HAAS Road to Glory in quite a while, for so little in the way of returns. I mean, by lap 20, the gap was down to about 2.2, but over the next 2 laps, we just basically hit a brick wall, and this was something I wanted to talk about, as you guys could probably tell by the title of this video. We're going to see it more and more towards the end of this race, and I know it's been brought up recently, but I think it was Tom97HD, actually over on Twitter. The AI, look at the traction Lance Stroll gets at this final corner. Now, the McLaren, the Renault engine in the back of that car, nowhere near as good as the Ferrari engine anyway. It's a car with not that many upgrades on it as well at the end of the day. Now, we have got pretty much a maxed out Ferrari engine in the back of this HAAS car. I think it's got 18 out of the 20 upgrades on it. There is not much more we can get out of this engine. We're on a completely fresh engine for this Grand Prix. We're running low wings, and you can still see up until about 180 miles an hour, we're gaining we're losing a lot of time. We're gaining it, you know, anything over sort of 7th gear, we're then starting to make a bit of progress once again. But up to that point, the McLaren with a much weaker, much slower anyway engine on probably higher wings, because I think the AI still run close to default setup, in all honesty. They're still out-dragging me in this Grand Prix there, and it's something that, yeah, I know has been called out a couple of times more recently, and it seems to be, you know, one of those glitches on F1 2019, like we've seen in the past, where the further through career mode you go, the more aggressive these glitches become. They just become far more prominent and far more important in this series there. So hopefully for F1 2020, we're going to see that patched by CODEMASTERS here. It would certainly be good to see at the end of the day, but you know, it's going to be interesting to see whether they get that sorted. Now, I'll accept sometimes, you know, we just don't get a good run out of Jung-Sao. Luckily this time around, you can see we got quite a good run. Hot lap mode and overtake mode on the engine, and we're still losing a good sort of, what, 100, 200 feet to Lance Stroll there, and then all it means by the end of the straight is we're so far back that despite the much better engine, we still can't quite close up the gap here. And I know this is helped by a bit of a DRS train, but surely, you know, we're pretty much as close to Stroll as he is to Sainz by this point of the Grand Prix, and it still just wasn't working for ourselves at the moment. It was just one of those incredibly frustrating things. It doesn't matter around a lot of tracks, I'll be honest. Really, what you're looking at mainly is obviously Monza, Spa, Melbourne to a certain degree, Bahrain, Brazil, and then a couple of other tracks that I'm sure I'm forgetting as well here. It doesn't matter around everywhere, but the fact it still exists in the game is something, yeah, hopefully that Codemasters can get sorted out for F1 2020 there. And yeah, I really do hope it's something that, you know, it's not just a couple of us experiencing. Hopefully it's a, you know, a consistent error that Codemasters can look into over the spread of the F1 2019 game. But despite all that, we've ticked down another 10 laps of this Grand Prix. We're still all over the back of the McLaren and Lance Stroll there. We still get good traction out of the final corner, and you can still see him pulling away there up until about 180 miles an hour. Then finally, the Ferrari engine kicks in there. We get the DRS, and this time around, we finally make the move work on that first McLaren car there. We're now up into P14 of the race with 7 laps to go here. We now got Sainz and Ricciardo just in front of us here, and this might be even more difficult now because Ricciardo, that Mercedes, probably a little bit quicker in this Grand Prix than ourselves. Mercedes, they've still been putting on a few upgrades towards the end of Season 3. They probably now do have the 6th quickest car in Formula 1 there, as it actually looks like Sainz is going to try and disprove me there and get round the Mercedes man of Daniel Ricciardo there. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, but yeah, Sainz doesn't quite make it work in the end. So he was sort of, you know, dragging Carlos Sainz along as well as a little bit there. As you can see now onto lap 31, getting a little bit of a fishtail, but still nothing that we're gaining on Lance Stroll there. Carlos Sainz even, I should say. Can we get a little bit closer down in towards turn 1? The gap's about 0.4 of a second, and yeah, it's just not coming down enough down the front straightaway here. And basically what I worked out by this stage of the race was you needed to be with pretty much on the gearbox of the McLaren car if you wanted to try and get past them down that front straightaway there. You can see Ricciardo still was sort of helping me out, going a little bit defensive, hopefully trying to box Sainz in a little bit there so we can close out that gap to the pair of them, but it, yeah, just really wasn't working at the end of the day for ourselves there. As on towards the end of lap 32 here, we've only got 4 laps to go of this Grand Prix, and it's, yeah, been quite a quiet one at the end of the day. That's probably why I thought it was a good idea to address this issue in today's video as well. But yeah, let me know as well, obviously, if it's a glitch that you guys have experienced. Also, obviously, what season you're in and sort of the upgrade path of the other teams around you as well. There, end of lap 32, the gap 0.3 of a second at the final corner. Surely now we're going to be able to close down that gap to Carlos Sainz, and it's just not happening. Also note, he's on a harder compound of tyres. Now, these tyres certainly weren't just hanging on in there. They were certainly felt still very, very competitive. So that's an even bigger reason why Carlos Sainz shouldn't be able to pull away the margin that he's able to down out of Jung-Sao there. End of lap 33 though, end of lap 34 now even, I should say. And yeah, we were still just sat here stuck. It just felt honestly like we were stuck in this Grand Prix. There was nothing we could do to try and make this move work, unless, you know, we just start going for aggressive moves, trying to just cause chaos at this stage of the day. And yeah, hopefully it's not going to be an issue for Season 4, but honestly, I'm not optimistic at the moment here. You know, it's certainly not a game breaker for me. It's, you know, certainly we're going to continue on with Season 4 and see what we can muster up in this car there. But yeah, it's certainly just something. Code is pleased for F1 2020. Just get it sorted, I beg, as well there. But yeah, 2 laps to go now of this Grand Prix. We were still sticking close to the back of Sainz at the moment. They're trying to hang on with him and Daniel Ricciardo as we head on to the end of the penultimate lap here. You can see we're still just sat here. We've spent so much of this Grand Prix looking at the back of one of these McLaren cars. I so desperately wanted to get past at least one of them here. Coming on to the final lap of the Grand Prix though, it's still not looking likely. We're starting to get a little bit impatient there. You can see making a few small mistakes here and there around the circuit. Sainz now looks like he's going to try and attack Daniel Ricciardo as we head down towards turn 1, so hopefully this could help me out with just 1 lap to go of the Grand Prix. But no, Sainz gets right the way around the outside. Verstappen though fastest lap, comes through to win the Grand Prix, and in doing so, will be his first Formula 1 World Championship there. The third driver from the third team in 3 years to win the World Championship here. We've seen probably the three heavyweights of Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton wrapped up 2019 with Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel wrapped up 2020 with Ferrari. And Max Verstappen is going to come through to wrap up 2021 with Red Bull there. I'm sure the first of many World Championships we're going to see from Max Verstappen in Formula 1. But out of the final corner, though, can we try and get any sort of consolation from this? Can we get past Ricciardo? It's not looking likely at the moment. It's out of the final corner. We're gaining. It's not going to be enough, though. Sainz comes through for P12. Ricciardo in 13th. And I've never pushed so hard for P14 in a Grand Prix. And to top it off, that was where my recording ended. I've got no idea why. I had plenty of space on my hard drive, and it just decided to stop recording. So unfortunately, we missed out all of Max Verstappen's celebrations there at the end of the day. But unfortunately, you know, there wasn't much else to sort of be said from it. There was no sort of surprising results. I don't think any position changes as well over the course of that Grand Prix. Verstappen now has like a 62-point lead, I think it is, over Sebastian Vettel in the Racing Point there. Obviously, Red Bull as well did wrap up the Constructors' World Championship this weekend as well, so I'm sure they'll be very, very happy. Reminiscent, actually, of their first World Championship, obviously back at Brazil where they wrapped up the Constructors, and then obviously Sebastian Vettel won the Drivers' World Championship for the team as well. So yeah, Max Verstappen becomes Red Bull's second ever Drivers' World Champion there, their fifth Constructors' Championship in still what is really not particularly long space of time in the world of Formula 1. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure you do get yourself subscribed for more F1 2019 content. And we will be back next time out for the finale. We head to Abu Dhabi.